a soul the world forgot to understand. Before the world even knew their name, there was a spark, a breathless shimmer in the vastness of the cosmos. Somewhere between constellations and silence, a soul began to form. Not loud, not wild, but delicate, intricate, and ancient beyond its time. This was not the kind of soul that rushed to be seen, not the kind that screamed for attention. No, this was Virgo, a being shaped not of chaos, but of calm, not fire, but focus, not noise, but nuance. While others were cast from passion, thrill, and hunger, Virgo was molded from something far rarer, clarity. They were born in the pause between heartbeats, in the quiet moment before a flower blooms. They were the breath before the first word is spoken, subtle, sacred, still. The universe, in all its reckless beauty, forgot something the moment it breathed Virgo into existence. That a soul built of observation, of inner logic, of immeasurable love disguised as quiet service, could be left unseen in a world that worships volume. And so, from their very first moment, Virgo began their life not in celebration, but in silence. Their eyes opened to a world that demanded noise, demanded perfection, without ever appreciating precision. A world where loudness was mistaken for leadership, where impulsiveness was applauded and reflection was pitied. Virgo's soul, so carefully calibrated to care, to heal, to perfect, was handed a body, a brain, and a heart, then sent into chaos without a manual. They were born already asking, already wondering, why do people lie when the truth could save them? Why do they say I'm fine when they're clearly breaking? Why is kindness seen as weakness, but no one gave them answers? So they began collecting pieces. Like a healer with no medicine, like a writer with no page, Virgo observed. They didn't talk much, they didn't demand, but they knew. Every micro-expression, every sigh, every fracture in another's story. They kept it all, inside, tucked away like a museum only they had the key to, not because they didn't want to share it, but because they were never asked. Their power was in their silence, their divinity in their details, and yet that was the very thing the world never saw. So they built themselves from the inside out, not waiting to be rescued, not begging to be noticed, just crafting their own sanctuary inside their soul. This is where their story begins. Before the heartbreaks, before the betrayals, before the healing and the rising and the knowing, before all that, Virgo was just a silent star floating in a sky full of fireworks, waiting to be understood. They say our childhood carves the blueprint for how we'll carry love for the rest of our lives. But for Virgo, love wasn't something handed with warmth. It was measured, controlled, conditional. From the outside, Virgo's childhood looked calm, maybe even blessed. There were clean uniforms, neatly packed lunchboxes, a bed made every morning with perfect corners. But inside the walls of their home, silence screamed louder than chaos ever could. It wasn't that they were unloved, no. It was that the love was misunderstood, misdelivered, misdirected. Virgo had to earn love through good grades, through obedience, through never making anyone uncomfortable. Every time Virgo felt too much, too sad, too angry, too excited, they tucked those feelings under the metaphorical rug, because every tear was met with, "Stop being dramatic." Every question was silenced with, "Don't overthink." And so, Virgo learned the first great lie of their life. I must be flawless to be loved. That was the first wound, the kind no one could see, but one that bled quietly through every smile. They became careful, hyper-awares, the kind of kid who asked permission before speaking, who apologized for crying, who fixed everyone's messes without asking for help. At school, teachers adored them, friends relied on them. but no one noticed the way their hands trembled when they held their own report card. Not from fear, but from the unbearable weight of needing to prove themselves again. Virgo didn't ask for much, just someone to notice the ache in their voice when they said, "I'm fine." Just someone to sit beside them when the world got too loud. Just someone who wouldn't say, "You're strong, you'll figure it out," every time they reached out. But they were met with silence, again and again. So they became their own safety net, their own healer, their own comfort. They stitched their worth with accomplishments, measured their value in how useful they were to others, and buried their own needs so deep, even they forgot where they put them. And no one knew, because Virgo smiled, always. But if anyone had looked, really looked, they would have seen it. A child trying so hard to be perfect, just to feel worthy of love, a curse of overthinking. And the unseen battles as Virgo grew older, the world clapped for their discipline, their self-control, their ability to stay calm under pressure, to stay organized, to always show up. But what the world never saw was the storm behind their eyes. Virgo didn't just think, they overthought. Every word, every silence, every pause in a conversation, every, "Hey, can we talk?" Every "okay," every "I'll call you later" that never came. It wasn't overthinking for the sake of it. It was Virgo trying to stay ahead of pain, trying to protect their heart by preparing for the worst before it even happened. Did I say too much? Did I seem too needy? Did I annoy them? Are they upset with me? Why did their tone change? Why did they put a full stop instead of an emoji? A million questions that no one heard, because they never asked them out loud. And that's the tragedy. Virgo suffers in silence, not because they enjoy the pain, but because they don't want to be a burden. They'd rather break alone in their room than let someone else carry even a fraction of their weight. Even in love, Virgo doesn't ask for too much. Just consistency, just honesty, just someone who chooses them every day with the same quiet loyalty they offer others. But even that felt like asking for too much. They became masters at suppressing emotions, laughing in group chats while tears slipped down their cheeks, helping friends through heartbreaks, then going home to an empty room where no one asked how they were holding up. And still, they kept showing up for others, for the world, even when their own world was falling apart. But here's what no one tells you about Virgo. They carry guilt like it's stitched to their bone. Guilt for saying no, guilt for needing rest, guilt for not replying fast enough, guilt for feeling hurt, even when they have a right to be. They don't just feel emotions, they analyze them, and then judge themselves for feeling them in the first place. It's exhausting, it's lonely, it's brutal. But Virgo won't tell you that. They'll just say, "I'm just tired." But it's not sleep they need. It's peace. It's understanding. It's someone who sees them, their depth, their effort, their silent screams, and chooses to stay. There's a kind of love that Virgo gives, a kind that doesn't scream, a kind that doesn't demand, a kind that doesn't take up space. It's quiet, but it's constant. It's not made of grand gestures, but of tiny, everyday things. The good morning text before you wake up, the "did you eat?" when you're too busy to remember, the reminder to carry an umbrella when clouds look sad. Virgo's love is in the details. But here's the cruel irony. The love they give is rarely the love they receive. They love like caregivers, but they are rarely cared for. They remember everyone's favorite color, birthday, the way someone takes their coffee, the things people said once and forgot they ever mentioned. But no one remembers theirs. They check up on people who disappear. But when Virgo goes quiet, silence. It's not that people don't love Virgo. It's just they love the version of Virgo that shows up, helps, listens, fixes. They don't always love the wounded version, the messy, confused, sad version, the human version. Virgo becomes everyone's emotional home, but they have no home of their own. They hide their breakdowns behind bathroom doors, cry in the showers so no one hears, wipe their tears, take a deep breath, and walk out smiling, because that's what Virgo does. They carry everyone's weight while pretending they're light as air. But here's the part that hurts the most. When Virgo finally breaks, they break alone. They give love like water in a desert, and yet, when they're thirsty, no one offers a drop. Virgo loves in silence and gets abandoned in silence. They love with all they have, even when all they have is barely enough for themselves. They love when it's inconvenient, when it's uncomfortable, when it means putting their own needs on hold. And still, the love they receive is often temporary, conditional, one-sided. That's why Virgo often questions their worth, not because they don't know it deep down, but because the world rarely shows it. They don't want the world. They want someone who chooses them quietly, deeply, consistently, the same way they do. They want someone who notices their silence, who reads between their words, who asks, "Are you okay?" and waits for the real answer. They don't want fireworks. They want warmth, a soul that doesn't run when things get heavy, a hand that holds tighter when they finally open up. Because when Virgo opens up, it's not casual, it's sacred. And when they fall in love, it's not a feeling, it's a devotion. But most people don't stay long enough to see that side of them. There are nights when Virgo stares at the ceiling and wonders, greater than, how did I end up here, in a life that feels nothing like my own? It's not about being ungrateful. It's not about hating what they have. It's about disconnection from their own dreams, from their own voice, from the self they used to know before the world asked them to be everything else. Virgo used to laugh louder, dream bigger, love softer, but somewhere between responsibility and survival, they muted themselves. They became the caretaker, the one who steps up, the one who keeps it all together while quietly falling apart. They became who everyone needed them to be, and slowly forgot who they were. That's the curse of being hyper-aware, of noticing every detail, of seeing every flaw, every gap, every pain point in others, and rushing to fix it. They became the glue in broken places, and now, they don't even know what their own wholeness looks like anymore. Virgo doesn't recognize themselves in photos, not just because of age or changes, but because there's a stranger behind their eyes, a version of them that has learned to shrink, to please, to perform, to produce, but not to exist. Their laughter has been replaced with sighs, their days with to-do lists, their feelings with forecasts. I'll feel happy when everything is okay, but everything is never okay. Because Virgo always finds something to fix. There are dreams sitting dusty on shelves inside their heart, things they wanted to try, places they wanted to go, people they wanted to become. But Virgo is always busy being the solution in someone else's story. They build others' empires, while their own garden grows wild and forgotten. They hear their own voice only in echoes. When the house is quiet, when the lights are off, when they finally stop pretending, and in that silence, they realize how long it's been since they felt like themselves. They've become so used to editing themselves down to fit others' expectations that they don't know what the full version sounds like anymore. Virgo feels like a stranger in their own life because they've never had time to fully live it, always fixing, always organizing, always waiting for the right time to finally choose themselves. But that time never comes because someone always needs them more, because it feels selfish to stop and breathe, because the guilt of rest is louder than the joy of it, and slowly, the life they built starts to feel like a beautiful cage, neat, perfect, admired by others, but empty inside. They wonder if anyone will ever say greater than, you don't have to fix everything, you don't have to be everything. Just be, and that will be enough. They long for that space, a place where they don't have to overthink every word, where they can cry without explaining, where they can be loved not for what they do, but for who they are underneath it all. Because Virgo is tired of always being strong, tired of always being responsible, tired of being a background character in their own story. They deserve to feel like the main character too. They deserve to come home to themselves. You see Virgo smile. You hear their calm voice. You notice how they always remember the little things. Your birthday, your favorite coffee, the song that once made you cry. They're composed. They're dependable. They're the first person you call when your world falls apart. But what you don't see is that Virgo's world is often falling apart too, silently, privately, behind that perfectly timed smile. Because behind every "I'm fine," behind every "don't worry about me," is a heart carrying fears they rarely let anyone see. Fear 1, what if I'm never enough? Virgo's standards are high, not just for others, but painfully higher for themselves. They measure their worth in tasks, effort, precision. They think, if I just do more, fix more, give more, maybe then I'll be a burden. They walk through life wondering if they're just barely keeping up, if they're one mistake away from disappointing everyone. They fear letting people down more than they fear pain, because rejection, to Virgo, isn't just external, it's internal. It's a confirmation of every inner voice whispering, "You're not good enough." Fear 2, what if people only love the version of me that's useful? Virgo gives everything, their time, their energy, their wisdom, their hands, their mind, their heart. But deep down they fear people only stay because of what they provide, not because of who they truly are. What happens if Virgo stops helping, stops fixing, stops being the calm in the storm? Will people still love them? Or will they walk away? Because Virgo's usefulness ran out, that thought haunts them, so they keep giving, even when their soul is tired. Fear 3, what if I can never slow down? Virgo knows burnout like a second skin. They push through exhaustion. They work through heartbreak. They organize through grief. Stillness scares them, because when everything goes quiet, that's when the feelings rush in, the ones they've buried under tasks and timelines. To rest means to feel. To feel means to remember, and Virgo remembers everything. Every harsh word, every failure, every time they weren't chosen. So they keep moving, because the moment they stop, the past comes roaring back. Fear 4, what if I show my real feelings and no one understands? Virgo feels deeply, but expresses it quietly. They cry alone. They break down in showers. They write unsent letters. They rehearse conversations they'll never have. Why? Because vulnerability feels dangerous. Because every time they tried to be raw in the past, someone didn't get it. Or worse, used it against them. So now, Virgo smiles. Even when they're breaking, even when their chest feels too tight to breathe, because they'd rather protect everyone else's comfort than risk being misunderstood again. Fear 5, what if this is all there is? They've built a stable life. They've achieved things people admire. But late at night, Virgo stares at the ceiling and whispers, greater than, is this it? Is this all I get? Not out of entitlement, but out of yearning for more. More connection, more joy, more meaning. They fear living a life that looks beautiful on the outside, but feels empty on the inside. They want to break free, to feel alive again, to not just survive, but to belong, to themselves, to someone, to something bigger. Virgo hides these fears well, with clean rooms and calm answers, with being the one who always knows what to do, with kindness, with logic, with "I'm okay." But sometimes, what they really want is someone to look past the smile and say, greater than, you don't have to be strong today. You don't have to pretend. I see you, all of you, and I'm staying. Because deep down, Virgo's greatest fear isn't being alone. It's being invisible in a world that only sees their strengths, but never their softness. Virgo doesn't love like the movies. They won't sweep you off your feet with grand gestures or shout their feelings from rooftops. They love quietly, gently, in ways so subtle you might miss it unless you know where to look. Their love language isn't loud, it's layered, it's practical, it's invisible to the untrained eye, but it's there, and it runs deep. So let's uncover the truth about Virgo's love, not the kind you see, but the kind you feel, in a way that changes you forever. Virgo loves through acts of quiet care. They notice that your hands are dry, so they buy you hand cream, that your shoes are worn out, so they quietly set aside money for a new pair. They remember the little things, how you take your coffee, that your favorite color is forest green, that certain songs make you sad. They won't say I love you 100 times, but they'll show it 100 different ways. Greater than love, to Virgo, is spelled, I took care of it. You don't have to worry. I already thought ahead. They serve love with preparation, not poetry. Virgo loves through understanding the details. If a Virgo loves you, they will study you. They'll observe the shift in your tone. They'll notice when your smile doesn't reach your eyes. They'll ask questions no one else thinks to ask. Because to Virgo, real love is rooted in deep understanding. They want to know what shaped you, what broke you, what healed you, what still hurts. They don't want the version of you that's easy to digest. They want the version that's real, messy, layered, true. Their love asks, greater than what don't you say out loud? Where do you hide your hurt? What can I do to make you feel safe? Virgo loves through problem solving. They see your chaos and instinctively want to sort it, not because they think you're broken, not because they don't believe in your strength, but because helping grounds them. Fixing is their way of showing affection. If you mention a problem in passing, you can bet Virgo will think about it for the next 3 days, looking for solutions, planning ideas, making lists. They want to lighten your load, even if you never asked them to. But here's the irony. The same Virgo who solves everyone's problems rarely lets anyone solve theirs. Their love is generous, but their wounds, they hold those alone. Virgo loves through patience. They won't rush you. If you're not ready to open up, that's okay. They'll wait. If you don't know how to receive their love yet, they'll wait. They understand that real connection takes time, and they're not afraid of time. They're afraid of superficiality. Virgo doesn't fall quickly, but when they do, they fall with full awareness. They won't promise the stars on day one, but they'll help you build a life where love feels like home. A love that's not perfect, but intentional, warm, present. Virgo loves through listening and remembering you. Might say something in passing, a childhood memory, a favorite snack, a dream you don't tell many people. You'll forget you even said it, but months later, Virgo will bring it up, softly, sweetly. Greater than remember that thing you said? I found it. I saved it for you. I remembered, because they always do. They remember the details most people skip, the kind of details that make you feel seen, even if you've spent your whole life feeling invisible. To Virgo, love lives in the micro moments, in paying attention, in remembering what the world forgets. Virgo loves through emotional safety. They will never force your walls to come down. Virgo respects your emotional boundaries more than anyone. They'll earn your trust, brick by brick. They won't climb your walls. They'll sit beside them, patiently, quietly, until you invite them in. And when you finally do, when you let them into the private world you rarely show, they'll treat it like sacred ground. They don't just want your love. They want your vulnerability, and they'll protect it like a secret. Virgo's love is constant, even if it's quiet. They don't declare their love on Instagram. They won't send you grand gestures in public, but they'll sit by your hospital bed without you asking. They'll drive across the city just to bring you your favorite food when you're too tired to cook. They'll stay up late researching that thing you said you're worried about. They don't do it for applause. They do it because it's who they are. Their love is steady. It doesn't crash in like a tidal wave. It seeps in like warm light through the window on a cold morning. And one day, you'll look around and realize they've been loving you in 1,000 quiet ways all along. the hidden cost of Virgo's love. But here's what most people don't see. Virgo loves like it's their responsibility. They carry the weight of everyone else's needs. They give and give and give, even when their own heart is empty. And sometimes they love people who never truly see them back, who take their quiet devotion and mistake it for emotional availability, who think Virgo's strength means they don't need care. But Virgo does need care. They just don't know how to ask for it. Their unspoken wish, greater than, please notice that I'm tired too. Please love me back the way I love you. Please see that I'm more than what I can do for you. Virgo's lesson: balance in love. The most powerful transformation a Virgo can experience is realizing that they deserve reciprocity, that their worth isn't defined by how useful they are, that love is not meant to be one-sided, that the right person won't just appreciate their devotion, they'll return it, and that, with supreme purpose, love is not foil. They'll say, greater than, let me take care of you for once. You don't have to do everything. You're allowed to rest. And in that love, Virgo will soften. They'll exhale. They'll stop carrying the weight of the world and finally, just be. If you love a Virgo, show up. Be consistent. Don't say what you don't mean. And notice the little things. Because Virgo isn't looking for perfection. They're looking for honesty, for effort, for someone who sees past their strength and into the quiet ache beneath. Love them in the small ways. Take care of them the way they take care of you. And never, ever underestimate their heart. It may be quiet, it may be careful, but it's one of the most loyal, generous, selfless hearts you'll ever find. In the end, Virgo's hidden love language is not grand. It's not flowers on Valentine's Day. It's not love poems or serenades. It's carrying an umbrella just in case you forget yours, fixing what's broken before you even ask, folding your clothes when you're too tired, noticing what no one else does, loving you in a way that's safe and grounded and real. And maybe that's not the kind of love they write stories about, but maybe it should be. Because in a world full of loud, temporary affection, Virgo's love is the kind you build a life on. When they love you enough to let you go, they didn't leave because they stopped loving you. They left because they loved you enough to stop hurting you, even if that meant breaking their own heart. Virgo didn't want applause. They didn't want drama, closure, or chaos. They only wanted peace. But when their quiet love becomes too quiet to be heard, they realize the silence is no longer sacred, it's suffocating. They remember how many times they held back tears so they wouldn't make you uncomfortable, smiled when their heart was cracking, chose to walk with you through your storm, even when you never held an umbrella over them. But something shifted, not in rage, not in resentment, but in a soul-deep exhaustion that only comes from overloving a world that never pauses to notice them. And so they stop trying. They pack their care into small gestures one last time. They leave a note, not with anger, but grace. They clear your dishes from the table one last time. They water the plant they gifted you, hoping you remember them every time it blooms. No words, just presence. No closure, just echoes. And as they walk away, slowly, silently, solemnly, the world doesn't notice, but you do. You finally see that the quietest love was the loudest lesson of your life. Amy didn't beg you to choose them. They chose you every single day in silence. But now they're choosing themselves for the first time. If you're still here, thank you. Maybe you saw yourself in this story. Maybe you saw someone you once loved. Maybe it made you cry, not because of the sadness, but because someone finally understood what your heart never knew how to say out loud. If you're the one who left in silence, or the one left behind in confusion, please remember this: you are not too quiet to be loved. You are not too much to be handled. You are not invisible. Your softness is not weakness. Your silence is not emptiness. It is strength. It is survival. It is a rare kind of love, the kind that keeps giving even after it's gone. And if no one ever told you this, I'm proud of the way you keep loving, even after being broken. I'm proud of the way you carry others while trying to hold yourself together. You are seen. You are enough. You are loved, even when it doesn't feel like it. And one day, someone will speak your quiet language fluently. Until then, keep breathing, keep healing, keep being you.